Thanks. It's a real pleasure to be here again. This is my second time at FintechTO speaking, and I always love coming here. Just one last comment on the last presentation. Jean-Luc, you left out the big piece of news, which is that you had a great acquisition just a couple of weeks ago. It's great to see companies being invested in and acquired in the Canadian fintech space. Really exciting acquisition for Jean-Luc and his team. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
So I'm here to talk about scaling and why scaling a business can be hard. And if you don't know who we are, I'll talk a bit more about what we do in a minute. Our mission is pretty simple. We want to help Canadians make great decisions about credit. And what I want to talk about today is the startup pyramid. On the bottom is product market fit. Who's got a good sense of what that means to find product market fit? When you're starting a business and you're looking for product market fit, it means can you come up with a product or service that your users want and that ultimately they'll pay for? And any of you who's started a company or been part of an early stage company, you know this is a really hard stage. It's really not easy to come up with a product, launch it in the marketplace, and have people use it and ultimately pay for it. And so we spend a lot of time as a community talking about finding product market fit. What we spend less time talking about is what happens after you find product market fit and you have to grow your business. And I think for many of us, product market fit is almost viewed as the hard part, and then growth is going to be the easy part. And that's what I want to talk about tonight. So a bit of history about us. We started life as a consumer lender, sort of like Thinking Capital, but focused on consumers. We want to help at this point. When we founded the company, we made loans for people with good credit. This is what our website looked like circa 2015. The problem was it was really expensive to acquire customers. Anyone in consumer fintech, I'm sure you can relate, customer acquisition cost is very, very hard, a really hard problem to solve. And so what we did is we became the first company in Canada to offer credit scores for free. We thought this would be a great way to acquire customers and tell them about what we do and make loans. The problem was that it worked in a sense, we were getting thousands and thousands of people a week getting their credit score with us, but not many of them wanted loans. They wanted other kinds of products. And so we spent all of 2017 building out a marketplace. And today we have about 40 different financial institutions on our marketplace so that when you get your credit score with us, we can recommend products and services and tips that are really tailored for you. And it's been a really exciting transformation for us, a really exciting road. We really feel that we have, in a sense, found a high degree of product market fit. We have about 500,000 direct users. So who's checked their credit score with Borrowell? Can I see in the room? I love seeing a room where not a lot of hands go up, because we acquire between about 1,000 and 2,000 people a day. So we need to hit our targets for today and for tomorrow. So please sign up after this. We've got to hit our 2,000 number for tomorrow. We need all of your help. So we have about 500,000 users directly. We also have partnerships that bring us hundreds of thousands more. So I think, and if you think I'm wrong, please come see me after the break. I think that we are Canada's largest fintech company from a number of user perspective, from a perspective number of users. So we're really excited about the fit we've found in the marketplace and the growth that we have experienced. Now there's a lot more for us to do. So back to the pyramid. So product market fit on the bottom, moving up to growth. I think what a lot of us think, and this is certainly what I used to think, is that once you found product market fit, all you have to do is get bigger, right? Like what's a big company? It's just kind of a bigger version of a small company. Well, that's not right. And I'll give you an example that I hope illustrates this. So this is an alligator. Okay, great product market fit. It's been around for hundreds of thousands of years. It's done very well in its niche. So what happens when you just make an alligator bigger? Any guesses? You get Godzilla, right? This is 1954 Godzilla, 165 feet tall. And what's really interesting is Godzilla has actually gotten bigger over the years. So this is a more recent Godzilla, and then here's one of the most recent Godzillas, right? It makes the 1954 Godzilla look like some sort of pet that you'd keep at home. But there's a problem with Godzilla, and if anyone is scared of Godzilla, I hope I can help you. The problem with Godzilla is that Godzilla doesn't work at this scale. If anyone's heard of the square cube law, when you increase the size of an object, the surface increases. If you square the surface, you cube the volume. So that means if you're Godzilla's feet and you square the size of it, you now have a cubed amount of weight to support. So Godzilla's feet would actually be crushed under the weight of Godzilla. Okay, its bones would collapse. Godzilla cannot work at this scale. And so that is a really good example of how big isn't just a bigger version of small. Okay? Things that work at one size don't just automatically work the same at a bigger scale. Great quote from Paul Graham, sadly no relation of me, but Google is not just a barbershop whose founders were unusually lucky and hardworking, right? They didn't set out to build a two-person company and just happened to grow big. They were different from the beginning. So what's different about scaling? What's hard about scaling? Here are a few examples, a few things that stood out to me. First of all, technology. When we were in product market fit mode, pushing new features into production, as long as they obviously met our criteria around security, we just wanted to get the features out there and see how the users would react. And if they didn't work perfectly, that wasn't as important as the learning. Well, today we have tens of thousands of people a day who are using our site. So a few weeks ago, we pushed a feature to production. We had tested it. We pushed a feature to production. It ended up breaking something on the back end, and we weren't getting refreshes done as efficiently as possible. People weren't getting their refresh credit score as effectively as possible. That affected, in the 2 hours it took us to fix it, thousands of users, right? When you're at scale and you make a change, it affects thousands of people. That's a big, big problem. Marketing also works differently at scale than when you're a new company. This is a picture from summer 2015. These are two members of our team buying ice cream bars because we stood outside of a Blue Jays game and we gave out ice cream bars and said, this is what Borrowell is about, okay? That was kind of a fun thing to do when we were small. And there's a great quote that says, when you're a startup, do things that don't scale. The problem is that doesn't work when you're trying to scale, right? We can't stand outside enough Blue Jays games and give out enough ice cream bars to onboard 2,000 plus people every day. And finally, people. A 4-person company is really different than a 40-person company, is really different than a 400-person company. When we were a 4-person company, we all sat around a table. Communication was so much easier. Because the person doing engineering was sitting right beside the person doing marketing, was sitting right beside the person talking to funders. We didn't have to worry about silos. We didn't have to worry about some of the other challenges that come when you get bigger. So when you want to scale people, to scale a team, you have to put in different processes. You have to put in different systems to make it possible for people to communicate. Here's a nice theory from a professor at Harvard Business School, Sikar Ghosh, and he said he has a rule called the rule of 3. So he thinks things break or companies need to change at every, when you 3 to the power of 1, 3 to the power of 2, et cetera. So when you go from being 3 people to 9 people to 27 people, 81 people, he thinks these are sort of like common breakage points where if you don't retool your team, if you don't retool how you do things, things are going to stop working. So how do you think about scaling? This is not how to think about scaling. Scaling, going from product market fit to scaling isn't saying, hey, look, we won the race, we found product market fit, all we have to do is get bigger. Scaling is really like a pie eating contest. Okay? You've just won the product market fit pie eating contest, you're eating blueberry pie. Your prize is you get to be part of a new pie eating contest for cherry pie called growth. So scaling startups, it's like a pie eating contest where the prize is more pie. So the message I want to leave you with tonight is growth isn't easy. Growth is a whole new set of problems, but obviously an essential thing for all of us as we build our businesses. Thank you very much. I'm happy to talk about Godzilla more at the break. Thank you.
Hey, thank you very much for the talk. It's very inspiring. So the begging question is, yes, we know it's hard. How do you do that? I guess the two obvious ways is, well, do it very slowly so that you kind of train your people up and get your process as you're growing so that you're more able to adapt to the change. And the other one is just kind of go for it in the kind of simple kind of growing curve. And well, what do you recommend? Are there other tips that you think are useful for companies who are hitting this stage? Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I think the speed at which you scale really depends on the situation you're in as a company. I mean, if you've got time, if you think you've got time in your market, if you've got time with your capital, with your cash in the bank to do it slowly, great. I think for many of us running startups, that approach probably isn't possible. I mean, we couldn't sort of do it super slowly. For us, we had to scale. We had targets we needed to reach. We have a market that we think presents a great opportunity now. So we've got to scale quickly while also making the company work at a different size. And there's obviously pain associated with that. None of this is easy. I think the first part of the battle is realizing that scaling is its own set of problems, right? It's a different set of problems than finding product market fit. You're going to need to think about it differently. You're going to have to be a different person as CEO, and you may need to have different people in different parts of your company. All of these are hard choices, hard decisions, but realizing that you're in a different kind of pie eating contest is the first step.
Hey, Andrew. I'm Munir, founder of Crowdlinker. Great talk, by the way. Have you used any particular tools that you think have helped you scale? And if so, which ones?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've used very different tools as we've gotten bigger. We used to manage a lot on spreadsheet. We used to manage vacations on spreadsheet when we were a team of 5 people. We used to manage even some of our customer acquisition data, some other things like that on spreadsheet. As we've gotten bigger, we now have a very built-out reporting solution. As we've gotten bigger, we have a totally different human resources system where we can track vacation, track pay. So I think as you get bigger, you have to get much more specialized in how you do things and in the tools you use to do them. So happy to talk afterwards. I'd love to compare notes about what people use in multiple parts of the business to track and to manage.
Hi. So a part of scaling is also involves dealing with the financial institutions and onboarding new banks onto the platform to offer credit cards and credit and account services to customers. So what are the challenges that you face in onboarding banks in Canada onto this model? And what would be those few things that you would want the banks to change so that collaboratively both fintechs and banks can offer these services to customers?
Great. So I think the challenges of scale really point towards why partnering between fintech and banks can be hard, because organizations that are at different sizes operate differently and face different challenges. And so we have a partnership with CIBC, which I've spoken about before. We're very proud of. When we started that partnership with CIBC, we were even smaller than we are today. And when you're a team of 25, 30 people, and you're dealing with a project team on the other side of maybe 100 people, that just creates a bunch of its own challenges. And I think helping to understand, trying to think about what the other side is trying to get out of it and what the needs and constraints of the other side becomes really important. That really was an experience for us that forced us to grow up. Partnering with a Schedule I bank in Canada really forced us to put in place a lot of the systems that we've really benefited from now. So we had to put in place it forced us to test and put in place the highest levels of security that have ultimately proved very important for us. Put in place great technology systems. So it was, I think, painful at the time. It's actually helped us as we've gotten bigger and grown our own business. Hopefully that answers the question.
Just a quick question. In your example about scaling and you're releasing a new feature and you didn't want it to impact all your users, what was your approach to resolve that? Did you only push to a segment of your users? Did your platform allow you to do that?
Yeah, so we think a lot about that. I mean, and deploying code into an environment where you've got lots and lots of active users every minute of the day. There's lots of different things I think that we certainly think about. Absolutely, if you can test with a subset first, we do a lot of A/B testing, and often the A group will be, the test group will be very small versus our control group that's large. Even thinking about things like time of day. So we really try to time releases at times of day when we see much lower levels of traffic, so that if there is customer impact, it's minimized. I mean, the other thing is we just spend a lot more time testing now. So catching things in a staging environment, in a QA environment, before you push live becomes that much more important. So we just spend more resources proportionally testing than we did when we were small.
And just my second question would be are there any triggers for you to stop scaling where you think that you should stop scaling and just assess things before you can scale more?
I mean, I think, from a big picture perspective, when you stop growing, that becomes a very dangerous time as a company. And certainly we're not at all at a stage where we feel that slowing our growth or stopping our growth would be a good business decision. I think, look, there's certainly in different parts of the business, times to take a pause, and whether it's for a few weeks or a few months. So, maybe you've staffed up a brand new team in your engineering organization. Maybe you want to give them, a few weeks, a few months to get acclimatized before you hire the next team. But that may not be possible. I mean, part of the challenge of scale is that for the businesses that many of us run, you've got to keep growing. Growth is an imperative. So you can't take as much of a breath as you would like.